Hey there everyone, haven't seen you for a while. While I don't have a whole lot to share with you in the way of guide-style content this season for Apex Legends, I thought it was prudent to at least share my thoughts on Season 6 so far, and how the metagame in general seems to be shaking out in my limited perspective. Before that, this video is sponsored by EA. Be sure to check out their exclusive Prime Gaming content, formerly known as Twitch Prime. This month, 2 free items are up for grabs. The Bloodhound Will of the Allfather skin, plus the finely tuned weapon charm, available for a limited time only. Claim yours at the link below. Now that we've had quite a few weeks to experience all that Season 6 has to offer, my opinions on the metagame have more or less settled. I'm pretty happy with the legend variety in casual matches this season, as it feels like I'm regularly playing against strong players on pretty much all of the legends in the game. There are of course a few exceptions, namely, in my opinion, Loba and Rampart. In the matches I've had thus far, I feel like I play against very few of either of these legends specifically, while mostly everyone else has pretty good representation. I'm not terribly surprised by this, to be completely honest though. While I wouldn't make the argument that either of these legends are weak in and of themselves, it's just that other legends are so strong and so ubiquitous that it's hard to justify picking them over any of the other legends in the game. Some other legends also slot in here to an extent, with Octane being the first example that comes to mind. With that being said, having more than half of the cast feeling viable and worth playing is a really great thing. Legend balance, to my eye, seems for the most part to be quite good right now. Personally, I'm still enjoying Gibraltar quite a lot whenever I choose to play. Even with all the nerfs that he has received, I still feel he's really strong and he fits my preferred playstyle at Apex quite well. His toolset is fantastic, and he's universally good no matter the rest of the team composition or the map. Moving on to weapons, this is where I'm a bit less confident. The addition of the crafting system has, in my experience, been quite a mixed bag. While it's nice to be able to consistently have access to a single gun on a 24-hour rotation, I've noticed that it's created quite a toxic environment for a lot of players in deciding whether or not they even want to play Apex on a given day. For an example, it's become a meme amongst my friends and viewers that you simply don't play the game on Devotion Day. Having easy access to one of the most powerful weapons in the game, alongside 2 of the most important attachments for it, completely changes how the game plays out on that given day. In some regards, this is good for the game, as it makes Apex feel different from day to day. And to play devil's advocate, if it weren't the devotion, then the community would always inevitably latch on to one of the rotations as being toxic or bad for the game no matter what, so I suppose it's not entirely the devotion's fault in and of itself. Tacking onto this, I'm really not a fan of Longbow Day either in the current rotation, specifically because it puts the Skull Piercer in the crafting station. In PC metagames, the Wingman is still an incredibly common, powerful, and spammy weapon. Having easy access to Skull Piercer attachments for it just means that instead of people actually caring about the Longbow, they just care about getting that cheap hop-up for their Wingman. If you watch my Apex Legends streams or have seen any of my commentaries on Apex before, you know that I'm pretty biased against the Wingman in general. It's a weapon that I felt for a long time shouldn't be as good as it is, so same song and dance here, nothing really new to discuss. I hope that come Season 7, some new rotations will be put into place, and in my own personal pipe dream, Skull Piercer is vaulted once again and its benefits are simply made baseline on the Longbow. With all that being said, we have well over a month of this season to go before moving on to the next. While I'm personally trying to take a break from competitive FPS for a while, I just need a tolerance break personally. I really hope that Season 7 can rekindle that love of competing and get me back to playing Apex every single day. Let me know in the comments section down below what you're most looking forward to, and if you have any feedback about the current state of Season 6 as a whole. Personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how Respawn manages to balance adding new weapons and items to the loot pool, while also keeping ground loot from getting more and more diluted than it currently ends up. One thing that we've been talking about very frequently on stream is the idea that because there are now so many weapons and items in the game, it can become even more difficult than ever to actually find a good weapon, let alone any weapon at all, in your first 3 to 5 loot areas when you drop hot in a certain map. It can just be really, really hard and inconsistent and frustrating. So, with that being said, we have to wonder then, if Respawn starts adding more, how do they make that situation better? The crafting system is a great first step, where basically you take one weapon out of the pool every single day along with some other items, and you put them into that shop, essentially, and you create a situation where you can get all of these new weapons, but you're not diluting the loot pool too much. I really would like to see them further explore this, maybe going so far as to say, okay, if you want I don't know, a wingman on Tuesdays, the only way to do it is if you go on Kings Canyon, you have to go into one of the 4 vaults that are on the map. Or is it 5? I don't remember. Regardless, the wingman will only spawn in the vaults. It may not be a gold version, but it'll always be at least one wingman in there. And then if you go onto World's Edge, the wingman will only spawn into the locked vaults on that map. So maybe specific weapons on a daily rotation or weekly rotation could only spawn in those areas, giving you more of a reason to target them and move towards them. So that could be really, really cool. Respawn just needs to be very careful not to get too fiddly with mechanics like this, because then it can become even more of a chore than it already is to loot and get your character built up the way you want them to be, while taking away from fights too much. You know, you have to have some push and pull there. Maybe we could see a rotating set of weapons entirely, where maybe for an entire season, or for an entire week, or for a month, or however long a period of time they may choose, they might say, okay, the wingman is just not in the game, or the longbow just not in the game for like a week. So that way it's not permanently vaulted, and people who bought skins for it don't feel too bad, but there's a little bit more of a give and take there. That could be really, really cool as well. Anyways, everyone, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.